Hey everyone. This is a Q&A video where David he wrote to me about a possible theater selector. So let me just read you a little bit of what he writes to me. I'm not going to show it because I don't want to. I don't want his email to be in your hands. But David writes that he would really value my opinion on a potential list, considering taking all the medium mortars available in the late war British Army mortar reinforced platoon from D-Day, British and Canadian sectors. Interesting. On top of that, he would include a 25 pounder, a Priest or an Achilles in the tank slot, and naval artillery observer, plus a few rifle teams in universal carriers. Let's go and see what it is that he's talking about. What he's thinking about here is what I term a leaf blower list. So I want to take us to Easy Army here. So there we go. Right. So in Easy Army, you can find it here. It's the late war British mortar reinforced platoon, D-Day British and Canadian sectors. So let's go and see that. Right, so what we have here is we have quite a lot of mortar slots, which is brilliant, right? So the first thing I would do when running this platoon is I would say, okay, the mortars are going to do most of the heavy lifting. What am I lacking? Well, I am lacking in infantry choices and in tank choices. These can be a little bit, Now, would we want to run an M10 Achilles? Let me just go and show it. Now, this the M10, I have one standing on my shelf. It's being painted right now. It is a super heavy anti-tank gun, and it is very, very expensive. 255 points. It is not worth it. It is open-topped, and you will get pinned. Any rifle unit that gets near you can just pin you down. And any AT shot or the Panzerfaust, whatever, can kill you. No, don't go down this route. So, how would I build this? Well, you need to take an officer. Take the cheapest one you can get, the support here. Right, because he's just going to be there to take off pins. And then mortar teams. Course, I run mine inexperienced, but I guess you could run them regular and then add a few spotters. I think this platoon has a special rule that you can share spotters. So I think for this to work, I would take a minimum of 2 spotters and then at least 4 mortars to share those spotters. So we take another mortar here, another regular mortar. Yep. And finally, down here, we take another medium mortar. So that would bring us to 4 medium mortars. That is quite a lot of medium mortars. It is an insane amount of medium mortars here. To back that up, yes, I would go with a 25 pounder, the light howitzer here. I don't think you need a spotter for this, but you could run one. So let's just take it. Right. So we've already spent 320 points. We need some very, very stable infantry. Don't run them inexperienced, run them regular, and you need a lot of them. So I would potentially even run 10-man groups. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to do it right now because you need your infantry to be very, very stable and able. And these choices are not. And this is one of the reasons why this mortar platoon is not in me and Alistair's top 10 allied theater selectors, because the infantry here is very, very limited. Now, anti-tank options. You get the boys anti-tank rifle, and I think perhaps you actually should, because you are very, very limited in your anti-tank options here. So taking the anti-tank rifles here, I think might actually be a good idea. And I'm going to pick all of them. So you can already see this is turning into an MSU list, where you have multiple small units, each of them able to do something, able to do some damage, but not necessarily massively able. So, right. You don't get any choices for snipers, so the anti-tank rifles are going to double up as our snipers. Of course, you take the free forward artillery observer. Should you take a second one? I don't think so. You're already having so much artillery bombardment here. You could, but I think there are better choices here. Oh, sorry about that. Right. Then for tanks, what do we use? You could go and grab yourself a priest, right? Look at this. It's got a medium howitzer, and it can sit and be an extra artillery piece in your back line. I don't think it's massively useful. I think what you need to go with here is something that has a lot more direct fire. So for me, I think the right thing to do is to take a Stackhound anti-air. So this has a... Oh no, that's the turret-mounted HMGs. No, don't do that. I retract my statement. Don't do that. Polston. There we go. That was it. Right. We need a Polston truck here. And I think add a second light autocannon, yes. Add a third, potentially, but now it gets really expensive. So I think I'll stick to the 2 Polston guns on my truck here. This is soft-skinned. This is designed to go out and hunt light vehicles and potentially take out tanks directly in a direct fire role. Right. Finally, we need some Bren carriers. We need at least one. This is going to host our lieutenant and potentially our artillery spotter here. So I'll add a pintle-mounted LMG. There we go. Right. You can see by now that it's getting difficult to actually spend the points. So I'm going to add more mortars. There we go. And I'm going to add a third regular, come on. A third spotter, so we have spotters everywhere. Right. At this point, you might add in that observer. 100 points. We do that. So you had double observers. 965 points. Should we add another? Yeah, we should. Another brain carrier. Oh, 60 points. I want to stick at 1,000 points. What to spend? How to spend it? How to spend it is actually a good point here. Anything on these that might be worth it? Anti-tank grenades on 10-man units might actually be worth it, because this means that you have some direct capability against, that one tank that drives towards you. I don't want any more of that. What special rules will we take to this? Well, for this, none of them really work. Not really. I think Vengeance might possibly be the one that's most beneficial, but it's not massively beneficial. And I'm still lacking something. Why would I even take a Jeep? That makes no sense. Well, potentially. You know what? I'll take the Jeep. I can always try and outflank one of those anti-tank rifles. So, right, I overspent the points. Here we go. There we go. 17, still too many. Can't. It's too many points. Can't take the Jeep. Clear. What to spend the final few points on? I think we have to go with extra support for some of these. I think the right thing to do is get an extra man for this artillery observer here. That's 10 points. We have 5 points left over. Right. So this would be my suggestion for how to run, I think, this platoon here. Is it good? Not massively, but it is a true leaf blower list. This list lives on the fact that at 1,000 points you have 17 order dice, and most of them are going to be indirect shooting medium mortars. You have so many mortars that you can actually pretty much guarantee you'll get hits. So you have the second lieutenant, inexperienced, because he's just attacks. He's going to sit somewhere in a Bren carrier, just shooting the pintle mounted. And yes, he will get inexperienced. Okay. 3 medium mortars and another 3 medium mortars. So that's 6 medium mortars. 3 boys anti-tank rifles. They are going to be most of our direct shooting. 2 huge strengths infantry squads. One of them is going to stick. I'm going to stick that one at a point on the table where I think the enemy tanks is going to go, because 10 men that assault the tank with anti-tank grenades, that is going to kill most tanks. And then the other infantry section is just going to try and survive. It may outflank in some scenarios. The double artillery observers are going to pin down the enemy, and I'm going to shoot them not at the same turn, but in consecutive turns, so that when one comes down, then the next turn, the next one will go down. That will mean that the enemy wastes at least 2 turns, where I'm zeroing in with 6 mortars. The howitzer is going to stay on ambush most of the time. In most games, I want that howitzer to hit the enemy tank with an HE shell, so that I give him pins, which is what I want. The Polston is also going to deliver pins to tanks, or potentially hunt light tanks, so Stuarts. If I can get that up in the flank of a Stuart, I can kill it pretty reliably, because I'm going to hit it with 4 shots, right? And a Bren carrier just for that extra Daka to deliver a few more pins, especially if you have so many pins on some of the units they can actually pin them out. I think that was the way to go. So a pretty good list. It does have certain obvious weaknesses. It lacks direct shots. It hasn't got that much anti-tank capability. It has some. And it has, I mean, what all leaf blower lists lack. It's you need to roll those 6s. You need to roll, but you're maximizing your attempts, because if you time this right, you'll shoot, and then the artillery bombardment will land, so the opponent will get stuck from having pins on him, and then you can shoot for 1 more turn, and then 1 more turn, and then 1 more turn, because your second artillery bombardment lands as well. So you will get quite a few shots with your indirect fire with the medium mortars. If the enemy connects, though, if the enemy has cavalry or something and he gets into your back lines, you're screwed. So there is that. Right, that was my feedback for David on his question about the late war British mortar platoon. It's an interesting list. Will it work? Potentially. Maybe. We don't know. Try it out in a few games. See what you think. It is, though, a lot of mortars to build. So, like, just building the list, I would suggest you 3D print some mortars and just use your regular Brits as crew for them, because who really needs to buy that many mortar teams? But, yeah. Anyway, see you next time. Cheers.